You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis show. And here is my take for this morning. I know that the natural expectation would have been that this morning I would have been writing about the setting absurdity in the swearing in of Speaker of Parliament to act as president. In fact, I was in court where a judge who had a similar expectation broached the subject in court and sought the opinion of those of us who had come to do business. I should, however, do this next week, God willing, armed with all the cases determined by the Supreme Court on the subject. Then I shall point out the obvious failings that have saddled us with the present situation of having to repeat the ritual of swearing in an acting president and creating a situation where the country technically and dangerously has two presidents at a time. So what am I doing today? She shouted, "I know my rights," and drew hate to herself. Those who sought to abuse her for standing her ground don't seem ready to listen to her full story. Actress Lydia Forsing posted a video in which she is heard shouting, "I know my rights." And the story is that a teen she was shooting a video with, as a movie with, had a rude encounter with a man said to be from National Security. She explains that this officer came upon them raving and ranting that they had to immediately move their rickety car from that part of the street. This man would not even listen to the police officer who had been at the scene before he arrived. He allegedly shut this officer up when he attempted to explain the situation. Their car apparently had a problem and wouldn't start. The girl who drove it would become jittery and confused as she was being shouted at repeatedly. Lydia reports that she got agitated and took out her phone to film this officer who was filming his encounter with the girl. The officer, who wouldn't listen to pleas to be patient and to stop filming, became angry. He ordered Lydia to stop filming him, even though he hadn't stopped filming the encounter. He would attempt to violently take the phone away from her, hitting her hand and hurting her. Her critics insist that she had no right filming the officer or making the intervention in the first place because the team was on a part of the street where access was not allowed, and or that she obstructed him from performing his duties. I would like to hear this officer tell his side of the story, but until then, Lydia insisted rightly that she knew her rights, and the officer violated same by his conduct. First, the team claimed it had secured a permit to film, that is, shoot a movie in that area, and that they had not offended, as the officer claimed. That notwithstanding, the point of law is that no security officer has the right to verbally abuse someone they suspect has committed an offense. What a security officer has in such instance is a duty and not a right. A duty to arrest the offending individual, take her to the police station and process her for court, where she will be offered the opportunity to either plead guilty or defend herself. This officer was not effecting an arrest, which he ought to, have been doing since he had come to the conclusion that they had committed some offense or that an offense was being committed, and none was interfering with or, as it were, resisting an arrest. He was on a frolic of his own and did not reserve a right to abuse or film the encounter. Just as in the circumstances, he could not film an individual without their permission, so could another not have filmed him without his permission. He, however, lost that right to order another not to film him without his permission, having been filming without permission. But which law prohibits filming an event in a public place? That will be a topic for another time. But a security officer with police powers and of the approved rank or authorized is allowed to arrest or search without a warrant only under specified conditions, including that A crime is being committed in his presence. He is being obstructed in the execution of his duty. The suspect is escaping from lawful custody or making an unlawful entry into a building or has stolen property in his possession. He was neither effecting an arrest nor was there the condition warranting same. It is, if he was, he could have a right to exercise reasonable measure of force, not violent force, to accomplish that duty if a suspect is resisting. In fact, one commits a further offense by the resistance or interference. I have, through my take, given the education about what constitutes unlawful arrest or search, which you have a right to and must resist. I have also taught that this power of arrest is even extended to civilians, except that one is obliged to quickly hand over the suspect to a police officer or the nearest police station. Know your rights. If an officer came to search your house, shop, etc., insist on seeing a warrant or authorization from his superior if he is not of the rank of ASP, unless the court states otherwise in the warrants or the search warrants. The search ought to be conducted on Sunday between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. You would like to read the rest of my take for today, but I conclude by saying that you obviously remember that in this case, there was also this report that the police officer who was at the scene earlier must have been, inspecting or verifying the permit that they claimed they had to shoot the movie in that area, but he was silenced by this man. I know many police officers who will not take that nonsense from any such officer. I know many police officers who are very knowledgeable in their law and will do a better job than what we saw in that circumstance. The sad thing, though, is that most of these officers are those who have higher education qualification, and yet the service, presently as we speak, is denying over 500 of its officers the opportunity, who have gone to do extra learning, the opportunity to be upgraded and to rank as such. Read my take, and you'll get the full story in there. Just know your rights. Thank you very much. That's by way of my take. Now,